If you're a disabled veteran, you know the sinking feeling. You filed your claim, you waited months, maybe years, and then the letter arrives, a percentage far lower than you expected, a denial that feels like a slap in the face, or a rating that simply doesn't reflect the daily agony you endure. The VA system is designed like a maze, and honestly, the vast majority of veterans are left wandering in the dark, missing the crucial, often simple steps that unlock the compensation and care they truly earned. You might think you've read every guide, watched every video, and spoken to every VSO, but there are 10 critical secrets, 10 levers within the VA machine that they absolutely do not want you to discover, because once you pull these levers, your rating is almost guaranteed to climb. We are going to expose the hidden truths today, the things that separate the veterans stuck at 30% from the ones who achieve 100% total and permanent status. This is not about cheating the system. This is about understanding the system better than the raters themselves, ensuring you receive every single dollar and benefit you are entitled to. The first secret, the absolute foundation of any successful claim, is the power and necessity of the Boughton Nexus letter. Chalk, and why relying on VA doctors for this critical piece of evidence is a catastrophic mistake that derails thousands of claims every single year. A Nexus letter is simply a medical opinion that formally connects your current disability to your military service, and without this link, your claim is dead on arrival. The VA has a term for this connection: service connection. It sounds straightforward, but here is the critical secret. The VA often relies on its own compensation and pension, or C&P, examiners to determine this nexus. And while these examiners are medical professionals, their primary role in the VA context is not to advocate for you. It is to assess the relationship between your condition and your service to minimize the VA's liability. This is the harsh truth. A VA C&P examiner is rarely incentivized to write a strong, positive nexus opinion for a veteran whose condition is complicated or whose service records are incomplete. They are looking for reasons to say no. They are looking for a break in the chain of causation. They are looking for evidence that suggests your condition is more likely due to genetics, lifestyle choices, or post-service activities, even if that link is tenuous. This is why the independent nexus letter, drafted by a private physician who is working for you, is the single most powerful tool in your arsenal. This private physician, often referred to as an independent medical expert, is not bound by the VA's internal protocols or the inherent conflict of interest present in the C&P exam process. They can dedicate the time required to thoroughly review your entire service record, your private treatment history, and the specific facts of your military service, a level of detail a C&P examiner, often rushed through a 15-minute appointment, simply cannot match. What makes a great nexus letter? It must be unequivocal. It must use specific, legally required language. The doctor cannot simply say it might be related. They must state that the condition is, at least as likely as not, due to your service, or even better, more likely than not. This specific phrase, at least as likely as not, is the legal standard of proof required by the VA. If your doctor hedges, if they use weak language like possibly or could be related, the VA will reject the opinion outright. They are looking for certainty, or at least the specific legal certainty required by statute. Furthermore, a highly effective nexus letter doesn't just state the conclusion, it meticulously lays out the medical rationale. It cites relevant medical literature, it references specific events or injuries documented in your service treatment records, and it explains the biological plausibility of the connection. For instance, if you are claiming a knee condition secondary to a back injury, the nexus letter must explain the biomechanical changes, the altered gait, and the resulting stress on the knee joint that directly flowed from the original service-connected back injury. Without this detailed scientific and medical scaffolding, the Nexus letter is just an opinion. With it, it becomes irrefutable medical evidence that the VA must legally consider. This is the first secret to 100%. Stop trusting the VA to build the bridge between your service and your disability. You must hire an independent engineer to build that bridge for you, making it so strong the VA cannot tear it down. The difference between a well-crafted, paid-for Nexus letter and the brief, often negative assessment from a VA examiner is frequently the difference between a 0% rating and a 70% rating, or a complete denial and full-service connection. This proactive investment in evidence is the most important expenditure you will make in your entire claims journey. Moving on, the second critical secret that the VA rarely advertises because it opens the door to the highest possible compensation even when your percentages don't seem to add up, is the understanding and proper application of the PARC extra scheduler rating certificate process. Many veterans become obsessed with the rating schedule, the list of percentages, 10%, 20%, 50%, etc., tied to specific symptoms or diagnostic codes. But what happens when your specific condition, even at its maximum scheduler rating, still fails to capture the full, devastating impact it has on your life, particularly your ability to work and function? This is where the extra scheduler rating comes into play, a mechanism designed to provide 100% compensation to veterans whose circumstances are truly exceptional, even if the strict numbers don't reach that level. Imagine a veteran with a severe orthopedic condition rated at 70%. According to the schedule, 70% is the maximum for that level of impairment. However, this veteran's pain is so constant, his flare-ups so unpredictable, and his need for daily medication so demanding that he is essentially housebound and cannot hold down any gainful employment. The scheduler rating of 70% simply does not reflect the total loss of earning capacity and quality of life. The VA regulations allow for the referral of these exceptional cases to the Director of Compensation Service or the Undersecretary for Benefits when the scheduler criteria are deemed inadequate. This is the secret. You must explicitly argue and provide evidence demonstrating that your disability is unusual or exceptional in its presentation. You need to show that the standard rating criteria fail to account for the unique severity of your symptoms, specifically focusing on two key areas: occupational interference and social impairment. Occupational interference means proving that your condition prevents you from performing the basic tasks required in a workplace, even light-duty work. Social impairment means demonstrating that your disability makes it incredibly difficult or impossible to interact with others, maintain relationships, or participate in community life. This is often the path to 100% total and permanent P&T status for veterans with complex mental health conditions, severe chronic pain syndromes, or rare diseases that don't fit neatly into the VA's diagnostic codes. You are essentially telling the VA, your rule book doesn't cover my level of suffering, and demanding they look beyond the standard chart. To trigger this consideration, your medical evidence must go far beyond just a diagnosis. It must contain detailed descriptions of functional loss, not just that you have back pain, but that you can only sit for 15 minutes before needing to lie down, or that unpredictable panic attacks prevent you from using public transportation. The documentation needs to paint a vivid, undeniable picture of total functional loss, proving that even a 90% rating would be insufficient to reflect your true inability to lead a normal life. Understanding and utilizing the extra scheduler provision is a powerful advanced technique that bypasses the typical rating limitations and demands a full 100% evaluation based on the reality of your life, not just a number on a chart. This is a highly effective way to achieve the maximum benefit when your symptoms are debilitating, but the VA's standard codes stop short of 100%. The third secret, and one that veterans often dismiss as irrelevant emotional fluff, is the immense legal weight and strategic use of trial lay evidence. Specifically buddy statements and personal declarations. When you file a claim, you might think the VA only cares about official military medical records, or STRs, and current doctor notes. This is a massive misconception, and it's a mistake that costs veterans thousands of dollars in back pay and higher ratings, especially for older claims, or those involving conditions that were stigmatized or poorly documented during service, such as mental health issues, or MST. The secret here is that the VA is legally required to consider all evidence submitted, and often lay evidence, testimony from non-medical witnesses, can fill the critical gaps left by missing or incomplete service records. This is particularly crucial for claims where the injury occurred in the field, was not immediately reported, or where records were lost or destroyed. A buddy statement, written by someone who served with you, describing the specific incident where you were injured, or detailing the immediate behavioral changes they witnessed after a traumatic event, is legally considered competent and credible evidence. It provides the necessary continuity between your service and your current disability, especially when the medical records are silent. Think about a veteran claiming PTSD from a combat experience. If their STRs are silent because they never reported the stress due to fear of career reprisal, a statement from a squad mate confirming the event and describing the veteran's immediate withdrawal or anxiety attacks provides the necessary proof of the stressor. The key to effective lay evidence is detail and credibility. A statement that simply says, "He was a great guy and he got hurt," is useless. A powerful lay statement says, "On June 4, 2005, outside of Fob Viper, I watched Specialist Smith fall 15 feet from the turret, hitting his back hard on the concrete barrier. He immediately began favoring his left leg and complained of severe low back pain for the next 2 weeks. I personally witnessed him struggling to carry his pack afterward." This level of specificity transforms a simple statement into a compelling piece of evidence that the VA Decision Review Officer must address. Furthermore, your own personal declaration, your written statement, is equally powerful. This is your chance to describe the severity of your symptoms on your worst days, not your best or average days. You must detail the functional impact, how often you miss work, how your condition affects your sleep, your ability to parent, or your intimate relationships. The VA is often focused on objective medical findings, but your testimony provides the subjective, daily reality of your pain and limitations, and this subjective evidence must be weighed heavily in the rating process. By strategically gathering detailed, specific lay evidence from friends, family, and fellow service members, you can effectively build a bridge between your service and your disability, even decades after discharge, overcoming the often insurmountable obstacle of missing official documentation. This secret is about leveraging the human element to prove the truth of your claim, forcing the VA to look beyond the paperwork. The fourth secret, which is often misunderstood as an all-or-nothing threshold, is the critical distinction and strategic use of just total disability, individual unemployability, TDIU. Many veterans believe the only path to 100% compensation is hitting the 100% combined rating on the VA's schedule. This is simply not true. TDIU is a backdoor, or perhaps more accurately, a parallel pathway to receiving 100% pay and benefits, even if your combined scheduler rating is significantly lower. This secret is about proving that while your physical or mental conditions might only rate 70% or 80% on paper, those service-connected disabilities prevent you from maintaining substantially gainful employment. The criteria for TDIU are specific. Generally, you must have one service-connected disability rated at 60% or higher, or 2 or more service-connected disabilities with a combined rating of 70% or higher, and one of those disabilities must be rated at 40% or higher. If you meet these numerical thresholds, you are eligible to be considered for TDIU. The crucial element here is the term substantially gainful employment. This means work that provides an income above the federal poverty level for a single person. If you are working and earning less than that threshold, or if your work is considered marginal employment because it requires significant accommodations or is highly subsidized, you may still qualify. The secret veterans miss is that they often focus too much on their physical limitations and not enough on the marketability of their skills and their ability to sustain employment. The VA is not just asking if you can physically lift a box. They are asking if your disabilities make you unemployable in the competitive labor market. This is where the evidence must focus on vocational factors. Do your frequent doctor appointments cause you to miss too much work? Does your PTSD make interacting with supervisors or customers impossible? Do medication side effects impair your cognitive function to the point where you cannot perform complex tasks reliably? Your application for TDIU, specifically VA Form 218940, must be meticulously detailed, focusing on the specific ways your service-connected conditions have resulted in a history of instability, job loss, or the inability to find appropriate work. Furthermore, many veterans fail to realize that TDIU is often the most straightforward path to 100% P&T status, especially for those with severe mental health issues. If the VA determines you are permanently unable to work due to your service-connected conditions, they often grant 100% P&T, which opens up maximum benefits, including Chapter 35 education benefits for your dependents. This is a critical secret. Don't chase the 100% numerical rating if TDIU is the more realistic and achievable path based on your occupational limitations. It pays the same as Scheduler 100% and focuses on the true impact of your service, your inability to earn a living. The fifth secret, the absolute gold mine for rapidly increasing your combined rating, is the strategic pursuit of secondary conditions. Chatni. This is perhaps the most powerful and often overlooked strategy for veterans whose initial ratings seem stuck. Many veterans focus only on the direct injuries they sustained during service, the broken leg, the hearing loss, the diagnosed PTSD. But the VA system allows for the service connection of secondary disabilities, conditions that are caused or aggravated by an already service-connected disability. This is where ratings explode, because you can often link a single primary disability to 2, 3, or even 4 new rateable conditions. For example, if you are service-connected for a severe orthopedic condition in your knee, primary, the altered gait and imbalance caused by favoring that knee can lead to hip pain, back pain, or even foot problems. Those subsequent conditions, hip, back, foot, are not directly from service, but they are directly caused by the service-connected knee injury, making them secondary service-connected disabilities. The same principle applies to mental health and physical health. A veteran service-connected for PTSD, primary, may develop severe gastrointestinal issues, chronic headaches, or hypertension due to the stress and anxiety associated with the mental health condition. These physical ailments are then rateable as secondary conditions. The secret here is the necessity of the secondary nexus letter. Just like the primary claim, you need a medical professional to explicitly connect the dots. The doctor must state that condition B, the secondary issue, is at least as likely as not caused or aggravated by condition A, the primary service-connected issue. Without this medical bridge, the VA will deny the secondary claim, stating there is no medical evidence linking the two. This strategy is essential because it allows you to bypass the often difficult hurdle of proving a direct link to a specific in-service event for the secondary condition. Instead, you only need to prove the link to an already established, service-connected condition. Common secondary connections that dramatically increase ratings include orthopedic. conditions leading to secondary joint issues or arthritis, diabetes leading to peripheral neuropathy, erectile dysfunction, or vision problems, and mental health conditions leading to sleep apnea, chronic pain, or substance use disorders. By meticulously reviewing your current medical records and identifying every condition you suffer from, and then working backward to see if it can be medically linked to an already service-connected disability, you are implementing a high-level strategy that the VA rarely guides veterans toward. This approach treats your body as a complex, interconnected system, recognizing that service-connected injury rarely remains isolated, and ensures that every resulting ailment is properly compensated. Focusing on secondary claims is the most efficient way to climb the rating ladder quickly and achieve a high combined rating. Now, let's talk about money, specifically back pay, because the sixth secret involves the hidden rules around BIA effective dates and how to maximize the retroactive compensation you receive. Many veterans simply assume their effective date, and thus their starting point for back pay is the date the VA received their final claim form. This is often wrong, and understanding the nuances of effective dates can mean the difference between a few $100s and tens of thousands of dollars in retroactive payments. The main secret here involves the concept of the intent to file and the continuously pursued claim. The intent to file, ITF, is a simple form or online declaration that puts the VA on notice that you plan to submit a claim. The powerful secret is that once you file that ITF, you have 1 full year to submit the rest of your evidence and application, and if the claim is granted, your effective date will be the date the VA received the ITF, not the date they received the completed application. This can easily result in an extra 11 months of back pay. Always file the ITF immediately. Never wait until you have all the evidence gathered. The second, more complex secret is the continuously pursued claim. If you filed a claim years ago and it was denied, but you maintained an active appeal, e.g., filed a notice of disagreement, appealed to the BVA, or if your current claim is a supplemental claim based on new evidence related to that old denial, your effective date can potentially be pushed back to the date of that original claim. This is known as preserving the effective date. The VA doesn't always automatically grant this backdating. You must explicitly argue that your current successful claim is simply a continuation of the initial, timely filed claim that was erroneously denied. For veterans with older claims, this often involves delving into legal concepts like clear and unmistakable error, CUE, or demonstrating that the VA failed its duty to assist in the original claim. If you can prove the VA made a critical error in denying the initial claim, the effective date can sometimes be pushed back decades, resulting in life-changing sums of back pay. This is a highly technical area, often requiring the guidance of an attorney or accredited representative. But the principle remains the same. The VA is often reluctant to grant large back pay awards, and they will default to the most recent filing date unless you provide a compelling, legally grounded argument demonstrating why the effective date should be much earlier. By understanding the power of the intent to file and the mechanisms for preserving or pushing back your effective date, you are ensuring that every single month you waited for compensation is accounted for and paid. The seventh secret, the one that causes the most anxiety and confusion, is how to successfully navigate the C&P exam trap, the compensation and pension examination. This exam is arguably the single most important factor in your entire claim, yet most veterans walk in unprepared, nervous, and unknowingly sabotage their own case. The secret here is understanding the mindset of the examiner and adjusting your reporting accordingly. Remember, Secret 1, the examiner is not your treating physician. They are a fact finder for the VA, often tasked with minimizing the VA's liability. The trap is that veterans often minimize their pain or symptoms because they are used to sucking it up, they are trying to be polite, or they are having a good day. When the examiner asks, "How are you doing today?" the key standard veteran response is, "I'm okay," or "better than yesterday." This is catastrophic. The C&P exam is the time to report your worst day symptoms and limitations because the examiner is assessing the maximum severity of your condition. You must be brutally honest about the daily impact. If you can only lift 10 pounds on a bad day, you state 10 pounds, even if you managed 20 pounds that morning. If your anxiety causes you to miss work 3 days a month, you must state that fact clearly. The second part of the trap involves range of motion, ROM, measurements. For orthopedic claims, knees, back, shoulders, the examiner will measure your movement. The secret is to stop the movement the moment you feel pain, not when you hit maximum physical capacity. The VA rates based on the point where pain begins to restrict motion, as this is considered painful motion. If you push through the pain to show the examiner you're tough, you are effectively giving the VA a lower rating. You must articulate clearly, "That is where the pain starts," and stop the movement immediately. Furthermore, veterans often fail to provide adequate details about functional loss. Don't just say, "I have back pain." Say, "The back pain prevents me from tying my shoes, lifting my child, or standing for more than 15 minutes, and it requires me to change positions every hour." The examiner must document the severity and the functional loss, and they can only document what you tell them. Preparation is protection. Before the exam, write down a list of your 5 worst symptoms and 5 biggest limitations caused by the condition, and make sure you explicitly convey every single one to the examiner. Walking into the C&P exam prepared, knowing exactly what to say and how to behave, transforms the experience from a high-stakes gamble into a structured presentation of evidence that significantly increases the likelihood of a favorable rating. The 8th secret is a highly technical rule that often separates a 70% combined rating from a 90% combined rating, and it involves understanding the rule of higher rating and the Pot-Lalump bilateral factor in the VA's combined ratings table. The VA does not use simple addition to combine ratings. If you have a 50% disability and a 30% disability, your combined rating is not 80%. It's calculated using a complex table that starts with the percentage of the veteran's body that is still healthy, and then subtracts the next disability from that remaining healthy portion. In the 50% and 30% example, you are 50% disabled, meaning 50% is healthy. The 30% disability is taken from the remaining 50% healthy portion. 30% of 50% is 15%. You add 15% to the original 50%, resulting in a 65% combined rating, which rounds up to 70%. This complexity is the first part of the secret. Always use an accurate VA combined rating calculator to understand where you truly stand, and realize that getting from 90% to 100% is mathematically the hardest jump, requiring a large percentage disability to be taken from a very small remaining healthy portion. The second, more powerful part of this secret is the bilateral factor. This is a specific rule that provides an additional 10% boost to the combined rating calculation if you have disabilities affecting paired extremities or paired skeletal muscles. Paired extremities include both arms, both legs, both hands, or both feet. For instance, if you have a 20% rating for your left knee and a 20% rating for your right knee, the VA does not just combine them as 2 separate 20% disabilities. They first combine the 2 ratings, 20% and 20%, combine to 36%, and then, because the bilateral factor applies, they add an additional 10% of the combined value before rounding. This is a significant hidden boost that applies to common conditions like bilateral carpal tunnel, bilateral hearing loss, or orthopedic issues affecting both sides of the body. Veterans often file claims for one side of the body and neglect the other, or they fail to ensure the examiner explicitly notes the bilateral nature of the impairment. By strategically ensuring that all conditions affecting paired extremities are documented and claimed bilaterally, you trigger this 10% multiplier, which can be the difference maker in hitting the next rounding threshold, such as jumping from 84%, which rounds down to 80%, to 86%, which rounds up to 90%. This secret requires meticulous attention to the location and nature of your claimed disabilities, ensuring you maximize the complex mathematical rules the VA uses. The ninth secret is a strategic guide on fighting the lowball and choosing the correct appeal lane. When you receive a denial or a lower than expected rating, the worst thing you can do is simply file a brand new claim. The VA modernized its appeal system in 2019, creating 3 distinct lanes, and the secret is knowing exactly which lane to use for maximum speed and effectiveness. These lanes are the supplemental claim, the higher level review, HLR, and the Board of Veterans Appeals, BVA. The first secret is the higher level review, HLR. This is the fastest and often most effective lane if you believe the VA simply made a mistake. Based on the evidence already in your file, if the rater overlooked a key medical record, misapplied a rating criterion, or failed to consider a piece of lay evidence, the HLR is the route. You cannot submit new evidence in an HLR. You are asking a senior, more experienced rater to review the exact same file for errors. The power of the HLR is its speed and the fact that the reviewer is often compelled to find and correct obvious errors, leading to quick reversals. The second secret is the supplemental claim. This is the lane you use when you have new and relevant evidence that was not available or considered in the previous decision. This is the lane for submitting your new powerful nexus letter, Secret 1, your new buddy statements, Secret 3, or new medical evidence showing the worsening of a condition. If your claim was denied because of a lack of medical nexus, the supplemental claim, accompanied by a strong favorable nexus letter, is the correct path. Filing a new claim instead of a supplemental claim can jeopardize your effective date. Secret 6. The third secret is the Board of Veterans Appeals, BVA. This is the longest, most formal lane, but it is the one you use when you need to challenge a point of law, argue legal precedent, or require a live hearing with a veterans law judge. You use the BVA when you believe the VA has fundamentally misinterpreted the law or the regulations governing your specific disability. The secret here is that within the BVA you have 3 dockets: direct review, fastest, no new evidence; evidence submission, you can submit new evidence; and hearing, slowest, but allows you to speak directly to the judge. Choosing the right BVA docket is crucial for managing your timeline and strategy. The overall secret to fighting the lowball is this: never give up and always use the appeal lanes to preserve your effective date and force the VA to re-examine the evidence under strict scrutiny. Don't just refile, appeal strategically using the lane that matches the flaw in the VA's previous decision, be it an error of fact, an error of evidence, or an error of law. Finally, the 10th secret, often the most obscure and lucrative benefit available, is the understanding and pursuit of special monthly compensation, SMC. CHOP. SMC is a benefit paid in addition to or in place of standard disability compensation, and it recognizes the most severe levels of disability and the need for ongoing care. The VA does not proactively advertise SMC, and many veterans who qualify are unaware of its existence, leaving vast amounts of money on the table. SMC is not just for catastrophic injuries like the loss of limbs. It is a complex, tiered system designed to compensate for specific losses of use, anatomical losses, or combinations of disabilities that result in severe functional impairment or the need for daily assistance. The secret lies in understanding the various SMC rate letters: SMCK, SMCL, SMCR, SMCS, etc. For instance, SMCK is a specific, small monetary amount granted for the loss of a reproductive organ or the loss of use of a creative organ, like erectile dysfunction. It is often overlooked, but can be added on top of an existing rating. The most significant SMC levels are SMCS, housebound, and SMCR, aid and attendance. SMCS, the housebound rate, is a critical secret for veterans who are rated at 100% scheduler or TDIU and who have one additional separate service-connected disability rated at 60% or higher and are permanently confined to their dwelling or immediate premises. This rate provides a substantial monthly increase. The highest SMC rates, SMCR, are for veterans who require the daily aid and attendance of another person for basic life functions, bathing, dressing, feeding, or who are completely dependent on assistance due to a severe mental disability. SMCR rates are significantly higher than the standard 100% rate. The key secret to unlocking SMC is ensuring your medical evidence explicitly documents the functional loss and the need for assistance. For SMCR, the evidence must clearly state that the veteran cannot perform activities of daily living without help, or that the condition leaves them totally helpless. For SMCS, the evidence must show permanent confinement. SMC is the ultimate reward for enduring the most severe consequences of your service and by working with your medical team to properly document the totality of your functional limitations and need for care. You can access compensation that truly reflects the sacrifice you made. This is the highest tier of compensation, and knowledge of these specific criteria is essential for any veteran facing severe, life-altering disabilities. To summarize these 10 essential secrets, knowledge is not just power in the VA system. It is money, benefits, and the care you deserve. Stop relying on the VA to connect the dots for you. Hire an independent expert to write an undeniable nexus letter. Secret 1. If your symptoms are exceptionally severe, argue for the extra scheduler rating. Secret 2. Never underestimate the power of your own words and the testimony of those who served with you. Use lay evidence to fill in the gaps. Secret 3. If work is impossible, use the TDIU pathway to 100% pay, even if your percentages are lower. Secret 4. Strategically connect every ailment to your service-connected conditions through secondary claims to rapidly increase your rating. Secret 5. Always file an intent to file and fight to preserve your effective date for maximum back pay. Secret 6. Prepare meticulously for the C&P exam, reporting your worst day and stopping motion at the point of pain. Secret 7. Understand the bilateral factor and the complex math of the combined ratings table to maximize every percentage point. Secret 8. When denied, choose your appeal lane. Supplemental claim, HLR, or BVA, strategically to maintain momentum and preserve your effective date. Secret 9. And finally, if your disabilities are severe, pursue special monthly compensation to access the highest level of benefits available. Secret 10. You served, you sacrificed, and you earned this. The system is complicated, but by applying these 10 secrets, you stop playing by their unwritten rules and start demanding the compensation that is rightfully yours. Do not wait. Start collecting your evidence and fighting for the rating you deserve today.